February 10th, 2021. Houston wakes up to 43 degrees. Austin sees 38. San Antonio hits 41. Cold for Texas, but nothing alarming. Jackets come out of closets. Heaters click on for the first time in weeks. Coffee tastes better when there's a chill in the air. The forecast shows temperatures dropping over the next few days, but weather apps have been wrong before. Life continues normally. Grocery stores remain stocked. Traffic moves as usual. Children go to school. The electric grid hums quietly in the background, invisible and reliable, the way infrastructure is supposed to be. ERCOT, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, monitors demand. Numbers are elevated but manageable. Power plants across the state feed electricity into the system without issue. Natural gas flows through pipelines, wind turbines spin in West Texas, coal plants burn steady. Nuclear reactors maintain their constant output. The grid has handled cold snaps before. Winter in Texas is usually brief and mild. A few days of discomfort, then back to normal. That's the pattern. That's what people expect. Homes built for heat, not cold. Insulation designed to keep cool air in during summer, not warm air in during winter. Pipes run through attics and exterior walls because freezing is rare. These design choices made sense for decades. Tonight, families eat dinner with the heater running. Some people turn on their fireplaces for the first time this season. The cold feels temporary, inconvenient, but not dangerous. Outside, the temperature continues to fall.
February 13th. The cold stops being a novelty. Morning temperatures across Texas drop into the teens. Houston reaches 13 degrees. Austin hits 12. Dallas sees single digits. Wind chill makes it feel worse. This is not normal Texas weather. This is cold that hurts. The polar vortex has shifted south, dragging Arctic air deep into the continental United States. Meteorologists use words like historic and unprecedented. People listen but don't panic. Not yet. Demand for electricity surges. Every heater in the state runs at maximum. Electric space heaters pulled from storage start glowing orange in living rooms and bedrooms. Demand climbs higher than ERCOT has ever recorded for winter. The grid was built for summer peaks, for air conditioning loads in July and August. Winter was never supposed to stress the system like this. Power plants begin to struggle. Natural gas facilities need gas to generate electricity, but they also need electricity to operate their own equipment. It's a circular dependency that works fine under normal conditions. These are not normal conditions. Wellheads freeze. Pipelines lose pressure. Gas that should be flowing to power plants slows to a trickle. Wind turbines ice over. Blades stop spinning. Some have cold weather packages installed. Most don't. Why would they? Freezing weather in Texas is a statistical anomaly. Coal plants face their own problems: frozen equipment, fuel handling issues. One by one, plants go offline. Not all at once, but steadily. ERCOT watches generating capacity disappear while demand climbs higher. The gap between what people need and what the grid can provide grows wider by the hour. Reserves drain, safety margins evaporate. Operators face a choice: controlled blackouts now or total grid collapse later. If the entire grid goes down, it could take weeks to restore. Sectional outages can be managed. Rolling blackouts can be controlled. The decision is made. Power will be cut to certain areas to save the system. The cuts are supposed to be temporary, supposed to rotate, supposed to last 45 minutes per area. That's the plan.
February 14th, 1:25 a.m. Lights go out in parts of Houston. Refrigerators stop humming. Heaters shut down mid-cycle. Darkness spreads across neighborhoods. People assume it's a temporary glitch. They've experienced outages before during thunderstorms. This should be quick. They wrap themselves in blankets and wait. 2:47 a.m. Austin loses power in several districts. The cold inside homes becomes noticeable within an hour. Without heaters running, indoor temperatures begin to match outdoor temperatures. There's nothing to stop the exchange. Walls aren't thick enough. Insulation isn't sufficient. Heat escapes through windows, doors, attics. The cold seeps in like water through cracks. 4:15 a.m. Dallas cuts power to residential areas. People wake up to freezing bedrooms, breath visible in the air. Children pulled into parents' beds for warmth. Everyone wears layers. Coats indoors, hats and gloves at the kitchen table. The outages don't rotate. Morning arrives and power doesn't return. The 45-minute estimate passes, then an hour, then 2. Phone batteries drain as people check for updates. News apps load slowly on cellular networks that are also struggling. Information is fragmented. Some areas have power, some don't. The pattern makes no sense to people living through it. Why does one street have lights while the next block sits in darkness? Wasn't this supposed to be fair? Wasn't this supposed to rotate? The term rolling blackout implies movement, implies temporary. This feels permanent. Grocery stores without power close their doors. Gas stations can't pump fuel without electricity. Traffic lights go dark. Intersections become chaotic. The infrastructure people depend on every single day reveals itself to be fragile. Everything runs on electricity. Everything. Without it, modern life simply stops. And the power still doesn't come back.
February 15th, day 2 without power for millions. The sun rises but provides no warmth. Outdoor temperatures remain in the teens. Indoor temperatures in powerless homes drop into the 40s, then 30s. People layer every piece of clothing they own. Families consolidate into single rooms, trying to preserve body heat. Some run their cars in garages for warmth, not understanding the danger. Carbon monoxide is invisible. It doesn't smell. The symptoms feel like flu, drowsiness, confusion, then unconsciousness. Some people realize the risk and move outside. Others don't wake up. Communication becomes difficult. Cell towers run on backup batteries that eventually die. Landlines don't work without power in modern homes. The internet is gone. People are isolated in their own neighborhoods, unable to reach anyone outside their immediate vicinity. News travels by word of mouth.
Rumors spread faster than facts. Someone heard the power will return by evening. Someone else heard it could be days. Nobody knows for certain. Hope and fear trade places hour by hour. Water becomes the next crisis. Municipal water systems need electricity to pump and treat water. Pressure drops. Taps slow to a trickle, then stop completely. Toilets can't flush. People melt snow in pots for drinking water. But snow in Texas is not clean. It picks up dirt and pollutants from roads and rooftops. Boiling would make it safer, but boiling requires heat, and heat requires power or gas. Some homes have gas stoves. They become the center of survival. Neighbors gather around them. Coffee made for 10 people instead of 2. Soup stretched thin. Acts of sharing that feel normal in disaster, strange in peacetime. Elsewhere, people remain alone. Elderly residents in apartments without gas, families with young children trying to keep babies warm, individuals with medical conditions whose equipment no longer functions, oxygen concentrators silent, CPAP machines useless, refrigerated medications warming to dangerous temperatures, and still, the lights don't return. February 16th, third day. The cold has settled in completely. Homes are no longer homes. They're shelters without heat. Indoor temperatures match outdoor temperatures. Frost forms on the inside of windows. Breath hangs in the air. Sleep becomes difficult. Shivering prevents rest. People drift in and out, too cold to stay asleep, too exhausted to stay awake. Hunger complicates everything. Refrigerators full of spoiling food, frozen meals that can't be cooked. Pantries offer crackers, cereal, canned goods that require heat. Calories matter more now. The body burns energy trying to stay warm. Without food, the cold becomes harder to fight. Children ask questions parents can't answer. When will the lights come back? Why is it so cold? Are we going to be okay? Honest answers feel cruel. Lies feel necessary. Phone batteries are dead now. The small rectangles of glass and metal that connected people to the world are now just objects, paperweights. Some people charge devices in their cars, draining vehicle batteries in the process. A phone with signal feels like a lifeline, even if there's no one to call. Updates from authorities are vague. Crews are working around the clock. Power restoration is underway. We appreciate your patience. These statements mean nothing to someone sitting in 28-degree darkness. Patience is not a choice, it's the only option. Pipes begin to burst. Water freezes inside walls, expands, cracks the copper and PVC. The damage won't be discovered until later. For now, it's just another invisible failure, another problem waiting to reveal itself. Some neighborhoods organize, people check on each other, knock on doors, share supplies. These moments of community feel genuine and desperate at the same time. Kindness born from necessity. In other areas, there is no organization, just individuals enduring alone. The blackout is not experienced equally. Some people have fireplaces, generators, money to leave. Others have none of those things. The grid failure is democratic in one sense, it affects rich and poor, but the suffering is not distributed evenly. Wealth buys options, poverty removes them. February 17th, fourth day. Critical systems begin to fail in ways that can't be undone. Hospitals and backup generators run low on fuel. Diesel deliveries can't get through icy roads. Surgery schedules collapse. ICU patients on ventilators face uncertain futures. Medical staff work triple shifts because relief crews can't reach the building. Exhaustion becomes dangerous. Mistakes happen. Nursing homes lose heat entirely. Elderly residents bundled in every blanket available. Staff stays even when shifts end because leaving means abandoning people who can't survive alone. Body temperatures drop. Hypothermia sets in slowly. Confusion, drowsiness, slurred speech. It looks like someone falling asleep, but they don't wake up. Deaths occur quietly. A man in his 70s in Fort Worth. A woman in her 80s in Houston. A child in Conroe. No dramatic collapse, no sudden event. Just the cold, sustained and relentless, until the body can't maintain function anymore. Families find loved ones in beds, in chairs, still wearing coats and hats. The silence in those moments is absolute. Water infrastructure collapses across the state. Burst pipes flood homes. Streets turn to ice rinks. Apartment buildings suffer cascading failures. One burst pipe on the third floor floods units below. Water damage spreads. Belongings ruined. Irreplaceable things destroyed. Photographs, documents, memories soaked, frozen. Sewage systems back up. Without water pressure, sanitation becomes medieval. Waste piles up. The smell in some buildings becomes unbearable. This is not a developing nation. This is Texas, United States of America, 21st century. And people are dying from cold in their own homes. The cognitive dissonance is staggering. Power grids aren't supposed to fail like this. Infrastructure in wealthy countries is supposed to be reliable. The social contract promises that certain things will work. Water from taps, heat in winter, electricity on demand. That contract is broken now. Trust evaporates with each hour that passes without power. February 19th. Power begins to return, but not everywhere, not evenly, not fairly. Some neighborhoods light up suddenly. Cheers, relief, heaters roar to life. People cry from gratitude over something as simple as warmth. Other areas remain dark. Hours pass, then another day. The contrast is brutal, watching lights across the street while sitting in cold darkness. The lottery of infrastructure. Those with power restored face a new reality. Burst pipes reveal themselves. Water pours from ceilings, walls, attics. Entire homes flood in minutes. People shut off main valves if they can find them. Some can't. The damage is catastrophic. Drywall ruined, floors buckled, possessions destroyed. Insurance companies would later report billions in claims. But in this moment, people just watch water destroy their homes and feel grateful to be alive. Boil water notices go out across Texas. Even when taps work, the water isn't safe. Municipal systems were compromised. Contamination is possible. Boiling requires power or gas. Those without either face impossible choices: drink unsafe water or stay dehydrated. Stores begin to reopen in areas with power. Shelves are empty, bread gone, milk's gone, eggs gone. People buy what's available. 10 cans of beans, a case of energy drinks, anything with calories. Supply chains were disrupted for days. Restocking takes time. Roads remain dangerous. Ice doesn't melt just because power returns. Temperatures stay below freezing. Black ice hides under dustings of snow. Accidents are constant. Recovery is not a switch that flips. It's a gradual, uneven, frustrating process. Some people regain normalcy within hours. Others wait days. A few wait weeks. The variance in experience creates different narratives. For those who suffered least, the blackout becomes a story of resilience and adventure. For those who lost power for 5 days, lost water for a week, lost loved ones, it becomes trauma. The state begins to function again, but not the same as before. Something fundamental has changed.
February 20th. Power is restored to most of the state. The crisis officially ends. Now comes the reckoning. Explanations arrive in waves. Weatherization failures, gas supply disruptions, demand forecasting errors, grid isolation. ERCOT operates independently from the national grids. Texas chose this. It means lower federal regulation. It also means no help when things fail. Blame spreads in every direction. Politicians point at wind turbines. Engineers point at frozen gas infrastructure. Regulators point at power companies. Power companies point at unprecedented weather. Everyone is correct about something. Everyone is also wrong about something. The truth is complex and uncomfortable. The grid was not designed for this. Winterization standards existed, but were recommendations, not requirements. Profit margins discouraged expensive upgrades for rare events. Risk was calculated and accepted, until it wasn't rare, until people died. Investigations are promised, reforms are discussed, lawsuits are filed. None of this brings back the dead. None of this unfreezes the pipes or dries the flooded homes. It's accountability without restoration, justice without repair. Families plan funerals. Neighbors help neighbors gut war-damaged homes. Drywall piled on curbs. Soaked carpets dragged to the street. The physical evidence of failure lines every block. Insurance adjusters work overtime. Claims in the tens of thousands. Billions in damages. Some policies cover freezing damage. Some don't. The fine print matters now more than ever. People read documents they signed years ago and discover they're not protected the way they assumed. The financial ruin compounds the trauma. Stories emerge. The man who saved his neighbor. The woman who shared her generator with the house next door. The teenager who checked on elderly residents. Humanity in crisis looks beautiful in retrospect, but it shouldn't have been necessary. Heroism is only required when systems fail. When systems work, ordinary kindness is enough. Texas didn't need heroes. Texas needed a grid that functioned.
March 2021. The state returns to normal operations. Temperatures rise. Spring arrives. Grass turns green. The ice melts, and with it, the physical evidence of the blackout. But the psychological evidence remains. People remember the cold, the darkness, the fear, the realization that everything they took for granted could disappear in hours. Trust in infrastructure is not easily restored. Every weather forecast showing cold temperatures triggers anxiety. Every flicker of lights causes panic. PTSD manifests in unexpected ways, checking flashlight batteries compulsively, stockpiling food, keeping gas tanks full. These are rational responses to experienced trauma. The grid still operates the same way. ERCOT still manages it. Some reforms are implemented, more are discussed, but the fundamental structure remains unchanged. Texas remains isolated from national grids. Winterization is encouraged, but still not required across the board. The next cold snap is not a matter of if, but when. Some people leave. The blackout becomes the final reason to relocate. Jobs can be found elsewhere, family ties can be maintained from a distance, but living through that week, wondering if you'll freeze to death in your own home, that changes the calculation. Others stay, but prepare. Generators purchased, backup heating sources installed, emergency supplies stockpiled. The ones who can afford it, at least. Economic inequality determines who can prepare and who must simply hope. The blackout revealed what was always true but easy to ignore. Infrastructure is fragile. Society is 3 days from chaos. The systems we depend on are only as reliable as their maintenance, their design, their funding. And when they fail,
people die quietly in their homes in one of the wealthiest states in the wealthiest country on Earth. The power is back on now. The lights work, the heat flows, everything appears normal. But something broke during those days that cannot be fixed with electricity. A certainty, a confidence, the belief that in America, in Texas, in the 21st century, the grid would not fail. It did fail. It can fail again, and everyone who lived through it knows that now. The power is on, but the trust is gone.